Minimalists.
In the not-so-distant past, we have many different physical artifacts for our media. Books, CDs, DVDs. Now we have eliminated that physical clutter with digital subscriptions, Audible, Apple Music, Netflix, apps. But we've swapped one problem for another. We now have a plethora of digital subscriptions to address all of our tastes instead of the physical artifacts. How do we now appropriately curate these multiple digital subscriptions and still satisfy ourselves, since each service has programs exclusive to its platform?
What a well-written question. It's also the longest lightning round question ever.
I was going to say, they maximized every character on Twitter there.
But it's very well written, and here's what I'll say. I'll give you a pithy answer. We'll expand on it. My pithy answer is this. A minimalist life is a well-curated life. Let me do that again. My pithy answer is a minimalist life is a well-curated life. That's also ultimately what we're talking about here today. And we're talking about any of this type of clutter. Obviously, on the private podcast this week, Ryan will get more into the sort of mental clutter, the additional physical clutter, hidden clutter, etc. But what we're talking about is curating our life. Think of a museum. The reason it's beautiful isn't because it has nothing in it. It has the things that are essential, the building itself, and then the things that add value, the art, which changes regularly. And so, but it doesn't have any of the excess stuff. That is what we're talking about when we're talking about clutter. Now, Sebastian's question specifically has to do with digital clutter. We've talked a bit about that with Lauren's question, but this is a different question. This is, hey, we've replaced CDs, DVDs, books with my Kindle or Netflix or Apple Music or whatever. We've swapped one problem for another. I don't know that I agree with that necessarily. It's swapping a boulder for a pebble.
Yeah.
Pebbles can certainly be annoying, especially if they get caught in your shoe, right? But the physical stuff is a boulder. The digital stuff, especially if we curate that as well, which I think it's a fair point. Like, we don't want to sign up for a bunch of different subscriptions that we never use. That's just a waste of money. And if you want to waste money, that's fine. But I don't see the reasoning behind that. In fact, on the private podcast this week, Ryan, I'm going to give you a list of all the things I just unsubscribed to this past weekend. And because you're going to be asking me some questions about the news and stuff. So anyway, there was one last word that stood out to me in Sebastian's question. In that last sentence, he said, how do we appropriately curate these multiple digital subscriptions and still satisfy ourselves, since each service has programs exclusive to its platform? Well-written question. And what I'll say is, most of the things that we think are satisfying are not nourishing, right?
Yeah.
And so, am I being nourished by this? Is it actually increasing my well-being, or is it only bringing me pleasure?
Yeah. No, I totally agree. A piece of me wants to say, if you're looking towards these things for satisfaction, you will never be satisfied. So, I mean, just reiterating how, nourishment and satisfaction are not the same. My pithy answer is this, Sebastian: stop searching for answers and start taking action. And I mean, you could even make that pithier and just say that truth leads to action. But here's the thing: is Sebastian is searching for an answer. How do I do this? What's the appropriate amount? There's obviously some discontent that's happening right now, and Sebastian, you don't need a how-to in order to start taking action. So I think that applies to a lot of things, where sometimes we search for answers and we use that as an excuse to not take action. And
if you understand the why deep enough, then the how-to tends to take care of itself. And the reason that happens is you're going to know, like, oh, crap, I look at my bank statement and I have 13 different subscriptions to the New York Times and to Hulu and to Showtime and all of these different platforms. Some of them might be adding value to your life. You're going to know that. If you can be candid with yourself, you're going to have that gut feeling. And so that's why there isn't, as Ryan says, a how-to of, well, yes, here are the 7 services everyone should have, and then that's it. You're a minimalist. Because that could be extreme overkill for someone.
Yeah.
And for someone else, that might not be enough. And so identifying what is enough will help you identify what is clutter. Ooh, tweet that podcast, Sean.
Boom.